Please welcome President of iGEM, Randy Repberg.
Hi everyone. This is really great. We're in a new city, on a new continent, in a new venue, with a new young group of people making all of this. The design. The building doesn't come with all those video screens and with all the high-top tables. That's all Nemanya's invention. And I hope you've liked it. How do you like the videos instead of paper posters? I'll tell you something. Some of the older people thought you wouldn't be able to make videos. That's a pretty good one, right? Actually, it's because they couldn't make the videos, so I said, go get a teenager. They'll take care of it for you. So this is really wonderful. I was so impressed with, number one, that you stayed. Because here's my biggest worry is, you'd come in, have a fun time, and then go to Paris, right? But instead, you stayed and talked to each other and worked together. So I outcompeted Paris. How's that, huh? So this year is setting us up for a lot of different kinds of changes. And we do experiments every year. And like the video monitors are experiments. These tables, things, the little pop-up stages in the villages, that's an experiment. The villages themselves are an experiment. Every experiment has the danger of some failure, right? But I think it's done pretty well. We'll adjust a little bit, and we've got some more experiments for next year. So come back, okay? So this is all great. I'd like to do some surveys. The first one is, how many of you like doing project promotion videos? Okay, pretty good. How many of you thought they were too hard? Okay, so we'll try to make them more reasonable next time. Still hard. How many of you did wiki freeze? Okay, how many of you did wiki freeze a day early? Okay, so I think you guys have a great future in management. So that's just wonderful. How many of you like the move from MediaWiki? If you even know about that. Some of you know about it. I think most don't. It feels so natural to use the modern technologies. We got out of like 20 years of using MediaWiki. Still in the registry, that'll go too. So I have another question. All of you who are present today, raise your hands. Okay? That's very good. Now, all of you who aren't here, raise your hands. There's some people up there, right? Raise your hands if you're on the Zoom. Yeah, see? Well, that's the saddest part of the world, right? For us. We have like 350, 360 teams this year, who paid and registered and did all of that. Only half could come. Primarily because of COVID. That's really sad. Just imagine how full it would be if everybody could come. Right? And we're hoping that next year will be like that. But there's some things to learn in that. The first is that, like Jason talked about, the mRNA vaccine let us deal with COVID faster than we ever would have without that. And the sequencing and synthesis that we've been pushing on, the synthetic biology things, really let the world open up earlier. And that's great. And so we had 2 years of being locked down with COVID, and this is kind of a half year, where we're kind of half locked down, okay? So let's look into the future. Where should we be? Where should we be in 10 years relative to COVID? in 20, in 30. At some point in the future, it will work differently. Somebody will have set up tools that are ready for any coronavirus. And then we find one, and then we say, okay, tune it up, program it. And then the next step is we won't use the immune system. We'll go attack the virus directly and wipe it out. And unless we do that, we're going to have pandemic after pandemic after pandemic. If we do it, we're going to have a better life for everybody. And how much should be invested in that? How much money should be spent on iGEM teams? I don't know, 100 billion, I think. We'll see. Okay? So that's just a little piece of the story, right? The real story that we have is one which talks about revolutions. Big technology revolutions, gigantic ones. We know about the Industrial Revolution, right? So that was the smokestacks. It really started kind of in England, right? The United Kingdom's kind of mid-1700s. It got going in a lot of places in the mid-1800s. Mid-1900s is pretty good. And, now we kind of take it for granted, but it's still going, right? We don't have electric cars. We don't have electric everything everywhere, right? And we're still burning coal. Kind of seems silly. But it goes. It's been like 250 years. It probably has another 100, 150 years to go. So what was it about? You could say, well, it was about companies and pollution. What it was about was getting to be good at energy. Before the Industrial Revolution, what you could do was limited by your ability to harness wind, like in sails, water power, and animal and human muscle power. And that created the wealth that you could enjoy at that point in time. So the Industrial Revolution made that obsolete. And instead, you can have motors, machines. You can have a battery-powered drill that can drill steel. Wow, amazing, right? So that was one. The next one was the Information Revolution. Personally, I was involved in that from the beginnings of that in 1972 on the ARPANET, and did networking stuff for a long, long time, and computers for a long, long time. And what that was about is it started off with computers, and somebody noted that you buy a computer back then, and it's empty. And you have to put the data in. And that would take you a long time, and what a silly process. The network let them all tie together. I was there. Everybody that was my friends at that time always thought there'd be computers all over the place, even a computer in the doorknob of your hotel room, and that's true. And they'd all be together, tied together with the internet. So that's been going along since approximately 1950 or so. So we're about 70 years into that. Remember, it was only in 1995 that the browser happened. So a lot of things still to happen. And you can't really use the internet on everything all the time. You got to log into Wi-Fi. But what that was about was finding out that information was an important fundamental aspect of nature. And now the physicists are even talking about how black holes are constrained by preservation of information. Wow. The tool for that was the computer. Well, we're at the beginning of another one. And that next one is about being good at matter, atoms, molecules. And the best tool for that is biology. And it's like one of those things where you can look out there and there's biology everywhere. And you don't know how to work it, right? Once you knew how to work it, all kinds of things would be fixed. And there's all kinds of opportunity. The one I like is instead of making cement by cooking lime, you could have bacterial cement. And there have been iGEM projects about that. They started with how do you make cement on Mars? If you fix that, you take out a serious level of CO2 pollution and there's kind of no reason. It'll take some time, but that kind of thing can happen. So you are at an early stage, about 20 years into the matter revolution, caused by the tool of biology and synthetic biology, which is most simply stated as using biology as a technology to engineer things you want to happen. That is manufacturing, therapeutics, diagnostics, all of that. And that's what the projects here at iGEM are about. So the next thing that happens is, I'll give you a little tiny history. This started 2001 when I went to MIT, where we purchased pizza or Chinese food on Thursdays. If you do that at MIT, the students all appear. You don't have to do anything else. And so we did that and said, what is this about? Okay? And we thought, maybe we'll get some important people to go and write about it and talk about how fabulous it is. That didn't work. What we did realize was that we had students. And undergraduate students were special because they didn't know what you couldn't do. They hadn't learned that part. And so if we captured them as undergraduates, we'd say, we're going to do this stuff, and then they go and do it. And that's the story of iGEM. It's the students. The next thing about the students is the students graduate from school. They go off into government. They go off into industry. They make startups. They do all kinds of stuff. And we now have 60, 70,000 students have gone through iGEM, and they are now out in the world. We even have them in the White House, and they're now becoming the leaders. So understand quite clearly, that's my objective for you. Okay? I go around and I talk to the iGEM students, and a lot of them are kind of, well, I don't know. There's one that was standing outside one of the rooms. Why are you standing outside the room? Well, the door's closed. I don't know if I should go in. Get over it. You're going to run the world. Open the doors. Go in. Have the courage. And you're in a nice environment here because everybody's thinking in similar ways. But when you go out, people will think you're wrong. Maybe they're wrong. That's all possible too. Okay, so the other piece of this is kind of more tangible, and that is the world is in a little bit of a mess. Not maybe a lot of a mess, but it's certainly in a little bit of a mess. And we've got climate crisis, we have environmental problems, we need to change the manufacturing, we have a lot of different things. And, I'm going to be retiring pretty soon, and you guys have to take over, and I have to count on you. So you have to do a good job, right? So we're going to be reviewing the projects that you did. That's what this is about. And we're going to be talking about the tracks. And the tracks are aligned with the villages, and they represent a category of a problem in the world that needs to be solved. Therapeutics, diagnostics. And so we're going to be giving out awards about all of that in just a minute. I'll be coming back to tell you other pieces of the story of iGEM as we go through the awards. Okay, so Nadine.
Okay, there we go. We're about to get started with the awards, and the first theme is our planet. Now, before we get started, I need to tell you a couple of instructions, and you probably thought your iGEM project was hard, but this is going to be really hard, so pay attention, please, okay? So, when you are the winning team, you can come over here, over the ramp, you join me on stage, you go straight to the awards, you'll be handed the award, and then you can go with your team all the way there. You can see this nice poster with Grand Jamboree on it. And our professional photographer will take a nice team picture. hard, right? Was it clear? Yes? Okay. Now, for the remote teams that are winning, so you will see on the screen a little webcam, so you know which are the remote teams. And of course, we thought about them, so they will have their personal Paris ambassador sitting here in the audience that will come on stage for them. And don't worry, of course, this award will be shipped to your hometown. So you'll get it a little bit later, but it will come to your place. Let's get started with the first category, climate crisis.
Greenhouse gases have filled the atmosphere, and we've been too slow to act. We are now in a climate crisis, and we must use every tool we have. iGEM teams all over the world are creating new tools to address this. In 2021, a team from the Technical University of Denmark developed a yeast cell factory that uses methane as the sole carbon source to reduce the greenhouse gases that contribute to climate change. A team from Wageningen in the Netherlands built a biofilter to capture the methane produced by the cattle industry before it can leak into the atmosphere. In 2020, a team from Nanjing, China designed bacteria to improve the energy output of microbial fuel cells. And a team from Sydney, Australia engineered thermotolerant microalgal symbionts that can protect coral from the bleaching effects caused by climate change. By working locally to reduce greenhouse gas emissions of industrial production and agriculture, improve the efficiency of energy resources, and reverse the devastating effects of climate change, iGEM teams can help stabilize the climate for the whole planet.
But we only have less than a decade to cut our emissions and limit the effects of climate change. So your efforts can really determine the future of our planet. I'm very happy to announce that these are the nominees. Can you please bring them up? Okay. And there were many great projects, but this year's climate crisis project designed a biological system that converts a waste product from the beer brewing industry and turns it into a power source. I think you already know who I am talking about. The winner is Ionis Paris. Please come on stage. Where are you? Congratulations. Oh, lots of emotions here. Félicitations. Bravo.
The Earth we live on is a beautiful place. We eat off the land, we breathe the air, we drink the water, but we also treat it like a trash can. Garbage and pollution is taking up larger and larger areas on the planet and disrupting natural ecosystems. synthetic biology could help us reduce our impact on the environment and live in harmony with the Earth. In 2021, a team from Monterrey, Mexico, designed a solution to replace the highly pollutant extinguishing foams used in forest fires with a non-pollutant foam inspired by a local frog species. A team from Edinburgh in the United Kingdom worked on the extraction of valuable materials from polymers that are resistant to natural biodegradation by devising a physical and enzymatic treatment using enzyme-laden silica beads. In 2020, a team from Darmstadt in Germany developed a bacterial biofilm for wastewater treatment that contributes to the responsible and sustainable use of water. And a team from Paris designed photosynthetic microalgae that could efficiently degrade the pesticide atrazine, which is contaminating the Seine River. Technology and innovation can cause environmental pollution, but it can also be used to restore the environment. iGEM teams create projects that clean up the trash, clean the air, provide fresh drinking water, amend eroded lands, and enhance soil quality.
Albert Einstein was so right. He said, we cannot solve our problems with the same way of thinking that we used to create them. And that's exactly why we need synthetic biology to make our environment a lot better. So here are the nominees who came up with some beautiful solutions for that. Congratulations. Now, one of the track winners developed an approach to remediate the eutrophication of 2 rivers in Greece. And the other engineered a biological system to reduce the exposure to heavy metal toxicity in industrial wastewater. The winners I'm talking about are Thessaly and Web Canary. Congratulations, guys. Congratulations. Great job.
Earth is facing its largest mass extinction event since the dinosaurs. This extinction isn't coming in the form of a meteor, but as industrialized human activity. Since the 1900s, species are going extinct at 1,000 times the rate of natural extinction. Every new extinction endangers the living, as a decrease in diversity destroys the adaptability and resilience of life on Earth. In 2021, a team from São Paulo, Brazil, developed Let It Be to save the lives of bees. They created a plant that is able to metabolize the pesticide that is responsible for the mass death of bee populations. A team from Texas engineered a bacterial solution to treat chytridiomycosis, a fungal disease that has caused the decline of at least 500 species of frogs and salamanders. And a team from Taiwan designed genetic tools to help pine trees resist a parasitic nematode that is threatening pine forests across North America, Europe, and East Asia. Extinction is thought to be forever, synthetic biology can create sustainable ways to utilize natural resources, save endangered species, and even bring back the long extinct ones.
The biodiversity crisis is probably even a greater threat than global climate change. So we absolutely need to find a way to keep our ecosystems healthy if we want to stay on this planet. Now, the nominees for this category are... And the winning track team has combined spider silk with muscle protein that can be used in biodegradable fishnets. Of course, I'm talking about you, Copenhagen. Please come up. Congratulations. Now, from the planet projects, we move on to projects that impact the lives of us, people. And we're going to start with the first challenge that is very close to my heart. It's related to food and nutrition. Let's have a look at the video.
Everybody needs to eat. But the way food is produced now harms the planet. We need solutions that improve upon today's unsustainable practices and increase arable land for food production worldwide. A quarter of the world's bananas come from Ecuador, and in 2021, the local iGEM team designed a low-cost biopesticide that is able to fight plant pathogens that infect Cavendish bananas, providing an accessible solution for local farmers and their crops. In Lausanne, Switzerland, the local iGEM team developed biological treatments to protect apricot trees, an important fruit crop in their region, against damage caused by late spring frosts. In 2020, a team from Vilnius, Lithuania, improved fish farming yields by developing an integrated biological system to detect, treat, and prevent fish diseases in aquaculture farms. And a team from Lambert, Georgia in the United States created a biological system that enables sustainable cities and communities by providing a solution for food production in urban areas with limited arable land. iGEMers can create new ways to responsibly produce nutritional food so that everybody eats what they need to live a full and healthy life.
Now, I love food, and I feel therefore very lucky to live here in Paris. But at the same time, we cannot continue to industrially produce the way we are producing our food today, unless there are maybe some iGEM team that is going to create a second planet, maybe? I don't know. But I'm very happy that you guys have been working so hard on finding better ways to secure our food and nutrition. So please give it up for the nominees of this track. And the track winner also really likes French food, I've heard. They've developed a biosynthetic tool to fight soft rot disease in potatoes. The winner of this track is Lyon. stage, guys. Congratulations! Bravo!
Recognizing a disease can never happen early enough. Most recently, the COVID-19 pandemic took the world by surprise. Nowadays, it's easier to access PCR and antigen testing, but it was unimaginable 2 years ago. Widespread access to testing was a crucial step in the globe returning back to any sense of normal. And the next epidemic might just be right around the corner. We need to rapidly develop diagnostic tests for emerging diseases. Synthetic biology gives us the means to develop diagnostics that are more efficient and easier to manufacture than existing techniques. In 2021, iGEM teams from Singapore, United States, and China engineered non-invasive, affordable, and rapid point-of-care diagnostic tests for COVID-19 and other emerging pandemics. These teams were inspired by and built upon the work of the previous teams that focused on diagnostic tests for emerging diseases. With synthetic biology, iGEM teams can make faster, cheaper, and more user-friendly tests to improve diagnostics worldwide. They can design ways to recognize disease just in time.
Diagnostics are so important, either to prevent disease, but also to help us prepare for the next pandemic. The nominees of this track are and for this track, we have two winners that worked on the same problem. One developed an in vitro diagnostic device and another a non-invasive diagnostic tool, both to detect early-stage lung cancer. So the winners of this track are... Congratulations! Please come on stage. Congrats. Well done.
Many health and medical problems can be addressed with new and novel therapies. Synthetic biology devices are already making their first steps in creating new solutions to biomedical challenges, like bacterial antibiotic resistance and cancer therapy. Last year, a team from Hangzhou, China, made the top 10 with their project ViruGuard. They genetically modified the adenovirus to overcome hepatocellular carcinoma, the most common type of liver cancer. A team from Vienna, Austria, developed an oral enzyme therapy using genetically modified bacteria to help people with irritable bowel syndrome and non-celiac gluten sensitivity. A team from King's College London engineered a treatment for spinal cord injuries. using a 3D bioprinted polycaprolactone scaffold with growth-supporting topographical features and a synthetic muscle foot protein bioadhesive. And a team from Kolkata, India, developed an antibiotic-free biological method for treating subclinical bovine mastitis, which is a ubiquitous problem in the dairy industry. Synthetic biology can improve techniques, technology, and access to new and novel therapies. But more efforts are needed to fully eradicate a wide range of diseases and address many different and emerging health issues.
As you could see from the video, synthetic biology allows us to make super smart medicine with super precision. So excited. The nominees of this track are and are you ready for the winning project? One of them designed a personalized autoimmune cell therapy using genetically engineered mammalian cells, and the other engineered bacteria that produce anti-tumor necrosis factor nanobodies to treat patients with inflammatory bowel disease. The winners I'm talking about are congratulations! Now, from the projects that affect the lives of us people, we will now move to the projects that will really help us unleash the potential of synthetic biology. Let's see the projects that advance the foundations of synthetic biology in the categories foundational advance, biomanufacturing, and software and AI.
We stand on the shoulders of giants. Synthetic biology was made possible by many breakthroughs in science and technology. iGEM relies on foundational technologies to function. BioBricks, RFCs for standardization, high-throughput quality control, and many other processes to run the competition. In the foundational advanced track, teams find novel solutions to technical problems surrounding core syn biotechnologies that empower future innovation. The team from Marburg, Germany, the 2021 Overgrad Grand Prize winner, created OpenPlast. Their AI-guided prototyping platform opened the door for faster development of genetically engineered crops and plants with SynBio. A team from Kaiserslautern in Germany established a modular cloning system in the protozoan Leishmania tarantulae, which will make the expression of human-like glycosylated proteins more feasible and effective. A team from Pennsylvania developed OptoReader, an affordable open-source device that allows for high-throughput reading, writing, and feedback for optogenetics. And a team from Changsha, China, engineered an optogenetic tool for light-mediated control of the cell cycle in mammalian cells, which could enable innovators dealing with complex diseases or fundamental cell biology research. The synthetic biology community needs more enabling technologies. iGEM is creating building blocks of foundational advances will accelerate solutions in the lab.
Foundational science can lead to breakthroughs to allow things that were never possible before. And here are the nominees for Foundational Advance of the iGEM Jamboree 2022. One of this year's winning Foundational Advanced projects laid the foundation for using compartmentalization, they already know who I'm talking about, as a tool to exploit the full power of bacterial cells. And we have another that developed a new chassis for the detection of environmental DNA. The winners are Freiburg and Austin, Texas. Congratulations. There they are.
So far, we've only seen nanotechnology in fiction, as tiny robots creating large structures. However, biology is a nanotechnology that already exists, and it already works. Biological systems are used to make products under conditions that were previously impossible. In 2021, a team from Toulouse, France, took home the BioBrick trophy for their project Elixio. They designed a way to produce the fragrance of violets from atmospheric CO2 using yeast instead of petroleum engineering. The team from Singapore won Best Manufacturing Project in the Undergrad division for engineering an optogenetically controlled yeast chassis and open-source bioreactor that can produce biobactericides and fungicides on-site at the farms. The iGEM team from Paris won Best Manufacturing Project in the Overgrad division for building a bacterial mini-cell system to produce indigo pigment and developing a method to safely dye textile without purification or addition of chemicals. And a team from Shenzhen, China, won the High School Grand Prize for creating a humane and environmentally friendly leather substitute using bacterial cellulose, artificial spider silk, and natural indigoid dyes produced in engineered E. coli. We can use synthetic biology to manufacture useful products, perform microscale production of high-value molecules, produce eco-friendly leather alternatives, and create engineered tissues such as artificial skin and cartilage for regenerative medicine.
With synthetic biology, we can produce what we need, but in a regenerative way. And I can't wait for the day that biomanufacturing is actually the most common way to produce what we need. Now let's have a look at the nominees in the biomanufacturing track. And we had two outstanding projects for this track. One engineered bacteria for the biomanufacturing of the quercetin, a plant protein used for the treatment of many medical conditions. And the other used bacteria-induced mineral precipitation to protect stone cultural objects in the open air. The winners I'm talking about are Technion Israel, CAU China. Please come on stage.
Computers are perhaps the perfect lab partner. They analyze all existing research in SynBio in a click. They give predictions for experimental design. And they never complain about the temperature of the AC or leave meals in the fridge. Why not have them do a lot more heavy lifting? Last year, a team from Tongji University in China coded a project that uses computational methods instead of wet experiments for phage therapy, setting up a promising alternative to antibiotics. A team from Shanghai Jiao Tong University in China conducted an in silico analysis of medical data with a deep learning model to determine the dominant biomarkers for cancer and other diseases. In 2020, the team from Shanghai Jiao Tong University created a database as a resource for scientists and farmers seeking to improve food security by breeding rice strains that are more stress-tolerant and drought-resistant. And a team from Concordia University in Canada compiled an open-source database of literature findings on microgravity-induced gene expression changes in different model organisms that can be used to sustainably and renewably produce nutrients in space under microgravity conditions. Developing software and AI tools enables synthetic biologists who use DNA as source code to work more efficiently and empowers computational biologists, bioinformaticians, and biologists who want to clone not just organisms, but repositories too.
So now, I don't know for you, but I think it's great that with AI and software, we can finally do better but less experiments. We don't have a bunch of nominees, but we have one very clear winner that has designed a predictive model to help scientists with chassis selection for soil, water, air, and gut microbiome. The winner of the software and AI track is William and Mary, and they're with us remote. Congratulations. This one is for you. Okay. They're not remote. They're here. Sorry. I didn't know. You guys had the icon there, so, but it's great you're here. Congrats! So before we go to the next part, I'd like to ask Randy to come back on stage and continue the iGEM story, because There's so much history now, and Randy always has great stories to tell. So give it up for Randy!
Okay, so in the tracks, we have like a problem area, right? And so the teams do work in their tracks. But across the tracks, people use different kinds of things. And so we have special prizes for that. And so we have special prizes, for example, in the use of technology, development of technology. It can be a little bit confusing, so let me give you an example. You can have a team that works, like William and Mary, to make a software tool as their primary project. But a whole lot of people can make littler tools as they go along. And we want to recognize that when you have a good software tool or a good hardware tool that other people could use. So this next section is about those kind of technologies that everybody uses. You know, we started off with technologies. You can think about the tracks that people do, the problems that they want to solve, but the question is, can they do the solving? And that depends on the technologies that are available. iGEM started off with the BioBricks assembly method, which in the beginning people said, well, why would you do that? We can already put things together. It takes several months, but why would you use this other thing? And by standardizing, making a registry, making protocols, and advancing assembly, everybody can put together parts. Why were parts a good idea? Because at the beginning, back 20 years ago almost, if you said that you can build operating systems in cells using standard interchangeable parts, people say, no, of course you're not. Every situation is different. So the tools and technologies that we use across all of iGEM are important. And they're the things that will let us all solve the problems of the future. So these special awards.
Thank you for explaining that, Randy. So we are going to 8 technology awards, and we're going to do this really, really fast. So we're going to go straight into the nominees and the winners for each section. You can still come on stage, but please, and because we're going to do this really fast, I'm just thinking a little bit about the remote teams, for whom some of them it's really in the middle of the night. So perhaps we can all make some noise and wake them up a bit, okay? Make some noise. I hope you're still hanging in there, remote teams. Get an extra cup of coffee. We are thinking about you. Okay, so when you see your team's name as winner, please come quickly on stage and then you can pick up one of these beautiful awards. Are you ready? There we go. We will start with the nominees for Best Hardware. And the winners are... Congratulations! straight into the nominees for Best Software Tool. The nominees are and the winners are give them a big applause. Whoa, that's a big team. Congrats. The third special award is for Best Measurement. And here are the nominees. And the winners of Best Measurement are where are they? Ah, yes. All the way in the back. Hello. Congratulations. Some of you have also created some very impressive models, and we want to award those as well. So the nominees of Best Model are and the winners of Best Model are the next awards that we will announce are for the projects with the best iGEM parts. And we're going to keep the same speed. Here we go. The nominees for the best new basic part are and the winners are and congratulations to the remote team in China. Well done. From the basic part, we go to the best new composite part. And here are the nominees. And can I have the winners on the slide, please? Congratulations. I keep on getting you the same people here. It's getting a bit boring, guys. Now, not only have you been working on some amazing parts, some of you have created even entire part collections that we really value. So this award is especially for those who have worked on collections of parts. Can I have the nominees, please? And the winners of Best Part Collection are... Congratulations! Now, finally, in this section, we go to a special award for Best Plant Synthetic Biology. Engineering plants, that's a tough job. So we have a special award for that. And here are the nominees. And we have one outstanding winner for this category, which is... Congratulations!
Hi. So the story of iGEM is a story that starts off with some ideas, some tools, assembly, but it had the idea that there are problems worth solving. Most of the tracks are about problems worth solving. The tools then offer you ways to solve them. But there's another piece that could be missing. And as synthetic biology becomes more common, new in different parts of the world, and as the governments look at this and say, should we invest? What should we do? There's the part that's missing. Should you do it? Is it okay? Is it moral? What would the gods think? Right? So it's kind of a buzzkill, right? But we took that task on from the very beginning in preparation for the 2003 class at MIT. And we had top professors, and we spent time on that kind of a question. And we realized that it was a serious question, and here's the unusual part. Even though this is happening in biology labs, and the stuff can't get out, nothing bad can happen, it's still the question to ask. Is what you're going to do with your future a good thing to do? Okay? And I hope you will think about that. All through all of iGEM, this has been an important topic, an important part. Is your project good? How will it interact with the world? Will it damage the world? How will the world interact with it? What's that like, right? So, is your project good? We call this human practices. And so we have a lot of things about human practices. There's another question. What do other people think about your project? Do they think it's good? Well, and did you ask them? Right? So those are the core pieces of the issue of respect. Do you respect yourself enough to tell the truth? Enough to tell the truth to yourself? Do you respect the people on your team to do your part? Do you respect your neighbors and the world around you enough to know that what you're doing is good and will be good for them? That's the respect side. And I think you will all work on it, and the results in the projects show that you've done those things. There's another issue. What if something goes wrong? How would you know? How do you know how to be safe? Right? How are you secure? How do you act responsibly when you're trying to? So that, again, is a very big piece of iGEM. That's why we have all those safety forms you have to fill out, and what are you going to do with animals, and all of those kind of things. So we've had a huge program in that, well-supported and all run by Pierce Millett. So
Please welcome Vice President of iGEM Responsibility, Piers Millett.
There you are. Doesn't matter how responsible you think you're being, you get the wrong microphone. Hello, iGEM. Hello. You may have noticed over the last couple of days we've been holding a responsibility conference. It's the first time we've ever done it. That brought together about 150 experts, regulators, policy makers, communities, scientists, engineers, and of course iGEMers to address 4 challenges. The first one, if your projects are going to have the impact that you want them to have, sooner or later we're going to have to move beyond containment. How do we do that safely, securely, responsibly? Secondly, if we want local people solving local problems all over the world, it means we're going to have different opinions about where we want to go and how we want to get there. That's why we've been talking about how to navigate competing ideas of good. Thirdly, we're going to need better tools and technologies if we're going to work safely, securely, and responsibly, and that's why we've been talking about applied safety and security. And then fourthly, we're going to need better procedures and practices to make sure that we maximize the benefits of synthetic biology whilst we minimize any risks. And that's why we've been talking about the governance of emerging technologies. I wanted to tell you about these 4 things because I hope they show you all of the work you've been doing throughout the year on human practices, on safety and security, is a critical part of bringing together the world we want to live in, a world in which the power of synthetic biology builds a better place. That power is with you. I hope you've learned things in iGEM as you move forward into the rest of the world. I can't wait to see what you do with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Piers. for doing such an important work. So these next awards are really representing the fact that innovation is not only about research and technology. And since the beginning of iGEM, teams had to think about the impact of their project on society. For me, that was really an eye-opener, and this holistic way of doing science is still helping me very much today to push innovations from the lab onto the market. So I just want to say thank you, iGEM, for teaching me that. We are going now to the awards and the winners of the Lab into the World tracks, shall we? So here are the nominees for safety and security. And the winners are... Congratulations. Now, we also have some very important awards to give away in Best Education, Inclusivity, and Sustainability. We're going to start with the Best Education Project. Here are the nominees. Oh, wait, sorry, I was too fast. Best Integrated Human Practices. And the winners are... Now we go to the Best Education Award. I'm not kidding. Here are the nominees. And the winners are... Inclusivity is a very important topic in iGEM projects, and we have a special award for that as well. Can I please have the Inclusivity Award nominees? And the winners of the Inclusivity Award are... We talk a lot about sustainability and how important it is, and we have a couple of projects that really stand out in sustainable development impact. So let's have a look at the nominees, please. And the winners. Congratulations. Well done. Randy already talked about doing experiments at iGEM, and I feel like you guys have been really guinea pigs this year, because you had to all of a sudden change from MediaWiki to GitLab, and I hope you survived. Well, you're here, so I guess at least you survived, but I hope there's not anyone left where you came from. And also, you had a premiere because we had, for the first time, judging happening both physically and online in the 14 judging rooms of this venue. And we don't know what it's going to be like next year. I already asked them, but they didn't know. So maybe we can expect holograms or something. Who knows? We are going straight into the award and the nominees for Best Presentation. Wow, there are many good presentations this year. But there can only be a few winners, so can I have the winners, please? And some of you also made some amazing wikis. So this award goes to the best wiki websites. Can I have the nominees, please, for best wiki? And the winners!
Okay, so we have projects worth doing, problems worth solving. We have the technology to do it with synthetic biology. We've checked that it's good and it's okay. What's next? Well, now it has to go into the real world. And I told you before, this is the third industrial revolution. This is the matter revolution. So it's not going to be like you just get together with a friend and, play in the garage. Well, it actually could work out. But the topic here is how we create an industry of synthetic biology. And that's a funny idea to sit here and imagine doing that, right? If we were in the government, we might do that and write papers. But normally we think that's just done by the market, all by itself. And the purity of the market will produce the best industry. I'm not so sure. And I think we care what that industry is like in several different ways. The very first is that it should be fundamentally fair and equitable in ways that we're not used to. It should be that the gender balance and the gender issues are not present in this new industry. That we care about that. And iGEM cares about that and makes sure that the balance exists throughout. The second thing that's important is that this industry happen everywhere. To some extent, I don't actually have to work very hard to make Silicon Valley, Boston, London richer. I think they can do that with synthetic biology anyway. The puzzle is, how do we get it so that synthetic biology industry grows and is healthy everywhere in the world where those people live there and they get to keep on living there and doing synthetic biology? We have teams from all kinds of places. Lots of Latin America, Asia, all over. And I hope that the people from there are able to create wonderful industries where they live, where their families are, and they don't all have to move to California. So when we talk about synthetic biology for everybody everywhere, we have an idea, and that is these problems are everywhere, and they vary from place to place, and they need solutions where everybody lives. So there's an opportunity. Then the question is, how can it be that there could be many different answers? Isn't there just one answer and you buy it from Amazon DNA or whatever it is, Amazon Bio? I don't think so. I think that if we simply do it the other way, that we can make there be an industry everywhere. So we're taking 3 approaches. The first approach is, of course, the startups, and we had our startup village. You're going to be hearing more about that. The second thing is leagues. We started a Latin America league last year, and it's doing well this year. Great, great. And they worked on the problem, which was, what do the teams and the people that live there need? And they found there was a bit of a shortage of synthetic biology professors, lab space, and so they worked on how to make that work. This year we have a team like that, a league in India. And next year, I think we might have a league in Africa, and Indonesia. We hope, we'll see. So the idea of these leagues is that this iGEM is like the Olympics or the World Cup. It's hard, expensive. You have to have a lot of resources to really do well. But there are people who want to play synthetic biology everywhere in the world, and we have to let them. So we have to make new ways of playing synthetic biology and doing iGEM. So the final thing is that we've got about 70,000 people who've done iGEM now. And they're out there, and they're the community. And so we have programs specifically for that. So I'll let you see what we've given in awards.
Please welcome Director of Entrepreneurship, Marjolein Kroijmans.
Hello, iGEM! Let's talk about startups. Imagine a world where 10% of iGEM projects are turned into startups. The endless amount of innovation and impact that you as a community will make will change the world for better. iGEM projects would just be academic, scientific projects without your efforts focus on real-life applications and implementations of your amazing ideas. And we have great examples of people who have done this before, who have walked this path. Once an iGEMmer, now an entrepreneur. We celebrated these activities at the Startup Village over there, with a 2-day program filled with workshops, roundtables, pitching competition, talks. It was very packed, it was very fun. But it was not just about them, it's also about you. And you have done amazing work in translating your projects into commercially viable products and services. And those can change lives of many people by improving health or combating climate change or other very important, urgent problems. And you can be really proud of this. All your efforts all your efforts for the Supporting Entrepreneurship Special Prize didn't go unseen. So I would like to show the nominees for the Best Supporting Entrepreneurship Prize. Are you excited to know who won? Let's go to the winners. Congratulations. Many iGEM projects are worthy of development and support to become startups themselves. iGEM Epic is a program for you to join after the competition to learn how to take your idea into the real world. We host a 9-month-long program that teaches you everything you need to know. We also match you with mentors and investors, and we give you the tools, we'll provide you with the tools that you need to get ready, get started. And our Epic startups are everywhere. One of our goals is to make entrepreneurship accessible to everyone, no matter where you're from. We have brought 15 startups from the program from all around the world, as you can see, to the Grand Jamboree to celebrate their hard work and their progress. We do this in our yearly pitching competition, the Startup Showcase. The winner will be sharing their pitch live here on the stage, which is really exciting. So let's see who the judges liked. The Startup Showcase finalists are and the winner is Rebex!
Hey there. Well, first of all, congratulations to all the teams. I'm Rodrigo, I'm CEO of Rebex, and we are growing specialty chemicals for a sustainable economy. I don't know if you know, but the chemical industry is in almost every product on Earth. But it's also responsible for producing huge amounts of emissions. It pollutes more than India with almost 1.5 billion people. Both petrochemical and extracted chemicals have intense resources use, either oil, water, and land. For example, you need 2 tons of stevia leaves to produce only 1 kilogram of Reb-M sweetener. By 2050, we will need to increase the food production in 60%, and the water demand would increase in 55%. So we should use natural resources for what really matters. We are solving this with Rebex bioplatform. We ferment genetically modified fungi to produce sweeteners, food ingredients, flavors and fragrances, and much more. Model organisms are awesome. You use them all the time. But Rebex fungi is not a model organism, and it's a super producer of highly complex molecules. We can hijack the pathways to produce the desired compounds. By fermentation, we are able to produce independent of location, season, and weather inclemencies, and allowing us to have a constant and cheap supply of these ingredients. We can sell these molecules B2B to many industries, flavors and fragrances, cosmetics, food and beverages, ingredients, and much more. Our serviceable obtainable market is the stevia sweeteners market, valued at $1.2 billion. And we can expand all to the specialty chemicals market, valued at almost $800 billion. Our first product is stevia Reb-M. It's an awesome molecule. It's one of the best tasting molecules in stevia, and it's not bitter, but it's present in extremely small quantities, around 0.1% of the extract. Our fermentation stevia is almost 400 times sweeter than glucose, has no bitter aftertaste, has better yields than most competitors, and it has 70% less carbon footprint than plant-based, and can be almost 4 times cheaper. There are many competitors doing molecules such as us, but most of them use model organisms that, after extensive genetic engineering, don't have high enough yields. Our fungi is able to produce high yields of molecules, giving us a competitive advantage. We were proudly born in the iGEM Epic Startup Showcase, and since then we have grown a lot. We have secured funding and lab space grants for a proof of concept development. We have been finalists and winners in pitching competitions, and we have letters of intent from possible buyers. We are the best team to make this possible, and we have awesome mentors, but we need your help, so we can start growing chemicals instead of synthesizing. Thank you very much. And I need your help right now for a big applause for my mentor, Ivan, and the Epic team that has made this possible. Thank you all.
Please welcome Vice President of iGEM Leagues, Ricardo Chavez.
Hola, ¿qué tal a todos Latinoamérica? Okay, back to English. Over the past couple of days, there have been hundreds of amazing talks going on all around the Jamboree. However, one of these, and my personal favorite, talked about the importance of building inclusive synthetic biology ecosystems and the challenges around this. I believe that as iGEMers, and you should take a look around, all of you, we should all be feeling very proud of the shared passion that we have for solving problems and for synthetic biology. This is what brings us together. I also believe that it is important to acknowledge and celebrate just how diverse our iGEM community has grown to be. Yeah. It is important to acknowledge this because I believe that each and every single one of us in these differences can provide a unique perspective. And this is why we created the Leagues program. The Leagues are regional initiatives building and accelerating the development of synthetic biology ecosystems through an iGEM experience. Our program has already impacted the lives of hundreds of people in Latin America and India. With more leagues coming from Indonesia, Africa, and the Middle East. So, if you or anyone you know would like to accept the challenge of creating your very own iGEM experience, please reach out to us and share your very own unique perspective. Thank you.
Please welcome Vice President of iGEM Community, Dorothy Jang.
Hello, iGEMers. So, to create more startups in the industry and to have more leagues bridging the entry to synthetic biology, and to develop more SynBio-related fields worldwide, we need people. We need iGEMers. iGEMers, indeed, is such a group that has been creating an impact on synthetic biology everywhere in the world. Hope you have had a chance to check the exhibition in Community Village in the past 2 days and learn about the enormous work done by past iGEMers in the past 20 years. And it can never happen if without our community members coming from so many different places of the world and have been enabling synthetic biology get developed everywhere in the world. We can see the same strengths, same feature from our 2022 teams, see? And judges, and our working members of iGEM community program. You might have seen many of them at the Jamboree. They were presenting on the stages to share their professional experience with you. They were organizing meetups to connect you with your other fellow iGEMers. They were also acting as volunteers to support your performance and participation. And now it's the time to join our 2023 team. You're more than welcome to join. So if you feel like continue with your iGEM excitement, do check out our recruitment call on the website. We hope iGEM community is the place that every one of you, every iGEMer, can keep growing. There are so many different fields, maybe some of them you never have thought about, that you can continue with your passion and love for synthetic biology and contributing to building up the symbiotic ecosystem in your own region. And iGEM community is here supporting you to reach wherever you want to be. We are discovering and displaying all kinds of symbiotic resources that might be helpful with your growth and in a more accessible way, so it's easier for you to recognize them. We are also trying hard to talk about your growth, your achievements, your progress, so that more and more community members can recognize your work. And as 2022 team members, I know you've been doing similar things. Through all these iGEM meetups, at the Jamboree, you connect with and listen to each other, you share your project and give your feedback. Most importantly, you celebrate and recognize each other's accomplishments. So now, it's the time to see which team and their efforts have been recognized by most of the fellow iGEMers. The winners of 2022 iGEMers Prize, both remote and on-site team, are... Oh, this is remote team. Congratulations.
So far today, we've been talking about the dreams and the future, what we want and hope for, and that's very appropriate. The student teams should dream as big as they can. The risk of failure is small. The risk of success is huge. So it has been the right thing. Henry David Thoreau says you should build castles in the sky, that's where they belong, and then build the foundations under them. So that's what today has been so far, but I'd like to bring us back to today and the excitement of, I don't know, medals, things like that. So, thank you very much for coming. This has been like really exciting.
Thank you, Randy.
And thank you, Nadine.
Now we're coming to the really exciting part of this award ceremony. And we're going to start with the famous iGEM medals. And, oh, that's fast. Wait. Go back. Well, here they are, the winners of the bronze medal. Oh. Perhaps we need to do that again. So this was, yes, there they are. And I don't know if we have more slides, or are these on? Congratulations to the bronze medals of the iGEM competition 2022. Next up are the silver medal. Congratulations to the team. Even more medals. We're just spreading them around. And after the silver medals, we go to the gold medals. Congratulations. You all tick the boxes for the gold medals. Amazing, congratulations. We are going to have a look at the top 10 teams in each category. So I would like to ask you to stay on your seat, because we're not going to go up here yet. But can I please have a massive round of applause for the top 10 high school iGEM teams? I don't know how you guys do it. I'm so impressed. I could not have imagined myself as a high schooler doing what you are doing, so really, great job. From the high schools, we go to the overgrad teams, and here is the top 10 iGEM overgrad. Yes. Now we're lacking only one top 10 category, which is for the undergrad teams. And so here is the top 10 of best undergrad. No, that was the overgrad. Undergrad team. And now I feel like it's really the Emmy Award or the Oscars. We are going to the final awards. And we start with the first runner-up of the high school iGEM Grand Prize. Hello! Congratulations! Sorry, I missed you. And now for the grand prize in the high school category. This is a dangerous area, you know. Dorothy, are you okay? Okay. Now we go to the category overgrad. And we start with the first runner-up in the overgrad grand prize, which is Montpellier. after the first runner-up, it's time for the winner of the grand prize in the overgrad category, which is U Copenhagen. Congratulations, U Copenhagen. Oh, this is already the last part. We're going so fast. And we start with the second runner-up for the undergrad grand prize. UST. Come over here. Congratulations. Well done. We also have a prize for the first runner-up, obviously. So, can I have the first runner-up for the undergrad grand prize, please? Leon! And now, for the final grand prize winner of this iGEM Jamboree 2022 in Paris. Who is it going to be? Here it is! TU Eindhoven! To the end of the iGEM Jamboree Award ceremony. Thank you all so much. You guys have truly been amazing. I am totally inspired by all of you. And to all the remote teams, I want to say, I hope to see you back at an iGEM Jamboree very soon. We missed you here very much. Thank you all so much for joining us. And perhaps we can all say au revoir to the remote team. Should we do that? 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining me in this award ceremony and for all your hard work. See you next year. Bye-bye.